And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Dani Henderson, alien and paranormal experiencer, British broadcaster, and founder of the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection. She joins us today to talk about her alien experiences and more. Dani, great to have you back again. Welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. It's so good to see you again. It really is. It's been quite a while. I was in Costa Rica last time we did a lovely conversation together. I think that was like a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, that was, I wrote it down. That was podcast 543. And I think you're going to be 1,100 and something. So that's about halfway back of my podcasting career. So it's great to have you. And the last time you came, we talked about your mother having an NDE while you were being born.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to go check that out, I will put the link in the description below. And
yeah, brilliant.
Well, you have a new book out, right? And it is called Angels, Demons, and Aliens. And it's fascinating that you put that, because there are so many people that believe ETs are demons. What is your take on that?
Absolute nonsense. That's religious brainwashing and programming, and it's an absolute nonsense. And what it does, it shuts people down who respect authority or who respect religion and don't have the confidence to even trust their own experience. A demon can mimic anything. It can mimic the Pope, a cardinal, a person. Demons can use the body of a human. There are many people out there in the music industry, in religion, in science, in healthcare, who are literally signed up and have contracts and agreements with real dark demonics that share space with them, physically share space with them. Now, since we've got rid of the reptilians, the Draco, the Sakar Empire, we've got rid of grey aliens, because they really truly were connected to our planet at the highest levels of government. And as you know, we mentioned earlier when we were chatting offline, that the Eisenhower administration, there's just one that we'll mention in the American military, the American government, they were very well informed on long-term agreements that the American government had with ETs. Now, what happens in people is this, Jeff, the minute they hear us talk, the minute we start to go here, the energy shifts inside people and a program that is inserted in their brain switches on and it goes to repulse. It repels them from leaning in, hearing and accepting information, because from birth, we are schooled, we are groomed, and we are programmed. And actually, every day of our lives, we are groomed, we are schooled, and we are programmed. So for me, I grew up, unfortunately for me, in a really nuts, crazy, insane, evangelical, Pentecostal, double, madness. Oh, you're sinners. All kids are sinners. Be quiet, sit down. We're not sinners. How dare anyone say a beautiful child, a beautiful baby, born of original sin be you? I have no time for that nonsense. And I've seen people go mad. I've seen people in church live in the worst fear. Oh, we have to go to church because if we don't, we're going to go to hell. It is an absolute wickedness. That is wicked. That is demonic. So back to your question. I do get very excited, as you know. I'm trying to rein myself in here a bit, Jeff. I can't help it.
Well, I think it's great.
Thanks. But yeah, so are demons aliens? No, that's ridiculous. It is an uneducated, ridiculous, puppeted program. And what it does, and people say, oh, that's this, that's that. They have no knowledge, they have zero experience, and they are just repeating like parrots what they hear. But the ones that have run our planet, let's say the humans that share space with demons, right? In every authority at every level, they are well prepared and know what the CIA, MK Ultra, how easy it is to even monarch, which is another mental abrasive mind control program that is literally en masse on our planet, literally en masse. So they know how we're going to respond to certain stimuli. So we respond to obviously something out there that's coming to us. So it comes into our frame of awareness, our consciousness, and then the block happens with a control program that we all have. We all have them. Anyone says they don't, just really probably maybe not aware at this stage. And it's okay to admit it. But when I say things like that, people get really triggered. And it's all right. Where is that trigger in the body? Feel it. Why are you getting angry or annoyed at someone like me who you may have never have seen before, and something's triggering you and you want to turn off? I mean, you're welcome to turn off. Obviously, that's your prerogative. But we try to prevent ourselves from learning and growing because we've been schooled, programmed, and groomed to listen outside of ourselves rather than just trusting, because we are all so clever. We are so clever. We are so brilliant. We are so beautiful. Every individual human. I mean, of course, there's a little group of fetid turds, mostly that run the planet or have been, those ones. We don't talk about them. I'm talking about the masses, the people that come to your channel, for example, the lovely ones, the good humans that are all trying to speak out on their experiences too. But are demons and aliens the same thing? Not at all. Not at all.
Well, do you think there is some group of ETs that have been living with humans for hundreds of thousands of years, but they're in another dimension and they just kind of pop in and out of ours?
That does exist, and I've seen that too. I've seen it. When you are somebody like me who's very clairvoyant, and I was born this way. So with this entire awareness, so I can look at people, I can see all the levels and layers in them. I can see what's attached to them. I can see what they're hiding. Trust me, it's not always the greatest thing to have this skill, but nonetheless, it's there. And I think it's there as well for me to share and advise other people that they have it too. But I've witnessed so many times beautiful, really tall, actually. I'll do three in particular. I was living in a village called Wymanley at Wymanley House years ago in Hertfordshire in England. And I was in my bedroom and the sun was shining and I was actually meditating and I was sitting at the end of the bed. Normally I lay down because I don't know about you, but meditation, people say, oh, you should sit up. And I'm like, I want to lay down. But this particular time I was sitting up and the reflection of the trees, because it was all woodland out there, were reflecting through the window and onto the wall. Now, this is a really great technique for people. If you look at a reflection on a wall of, let's say, trees outside moving, sit and focus on that. If you turn your eyes very slightly out of focus, you will see into other dimensions. And it's absolutely magical, and everybody can do it. So this one time I was watching the reflections of the trees on through the sun on the wall in the bedroom, and I was staring and squinting so I could see more. Because when the brain is focused, it's very clear on what it's looking at. When you slightly out of focus your eyes, what you're looking at, the brain's scrambling, it's otherwise engaged. You're really going to connect to what's in front and seeing all the different dimensions. And I was looking, and there were all these incredible, what we call nature sprites and divas or devas, like little elfin looking, little fairy looking people. And I'm looking at this thinking, this is insane. Like, this is everything we're told isn't real. And I'm looking at these little faces looking in at me. It was incredible. The next thing, there's this awareness in my frequency. I'm like, the frequency changed. And I look, and there's these three tall, very light, very see-through beings. And they're just sitting there watching me. And they're watching me, and they're in another dimension. And they got up and they walked past me. And as they walked past me lovingly and gently, I was still able to see the reflection from the sun on the wall, looking through into another dimension. And it gave me insight into how capable and the natural abilities that us humans have. This is part of our natural toolkit. We all came in with this. And anyone that tells you otherwise, frankly, is just a liar. They don't have it, so they don't know how to reference it. But I'm telling you, from infancy, from birth to now, I know that we have these experiences, we have these abilities, and I'm proof of that. Another reason why I put my book together. My book is true experiences that I've had with these beings, angels, demons, and aliens, to tell you the difference, to tell you how to understand the different frequencies. Because, Jeff, when the ETs come, the benevolent ETs, let's say, for example, if Thorhan, who's a Pleiadian, he pops in, his frequency is so different from, let's say, another beautiful, beautiful benevolent ET that I've known from birth, whose name is Annex, who is what we call an Egoroth. If you look at the three stars of Orion, look at the middle star, And that is where this beautiful being is from. And Annex has a very large face like this, and the beautiful indigo eyes and very light tan brown skin. He is not a gray, but he is a very high density, benevolent being. My first memory ever is him gently putting me back into my crib. And my friend Elena Janan, I got reconnected through Alex at Annex when she came back into my life. And I had another experience, and then we realized who he was. Because there are many of us humans who are having these experiences with these beautiful ETs and finding each other that way because we were always going to come back together at such a time as this. And Alex is a fifth or sixth density being, and Thorhan, the Pleiadian military physical man. So they're physical beings. They're not omnipresent. You know, they're not like wispy, wallowy down in the dunes, or let me meditate and imagine I'm calling them in. No, they are physical. They came to my house in Costa Rica when I spoke to you. Physical representations. The two of them are off-planet benevolent beloveds with different signature frequencies. Now, when the ETs come in, I normally get the frequency crackling, the electromagnetic frequency connection through the back of my neck from the brainstem. When an angelic comes, it is a very different frequency. It is much lighter. When a demonic comes or a lower entity, it is an extremely different vibration. So our bodies, they are like these beautiful barometers. They are like these musical instruments, harmonic, and we can relate and we can feel and we can connect on every level to these kinds of beings or entities when they're around us, and Jeff, when they're inside other people. So the personnel that put themselves in positions of power at the very top of our planet, who are literally trying to run and decide what our future is going to be like, to me, a lot of those have the darkest entities attached to them, sharing space with them. Do you want to know a little bit about demonic contracts and soul contracts?
I do, but before we go there, for the regular people out there like me, is there any way that if we run into some being, besides feeling our energy, that we can differentiate whether the being is an ET, an angel, or a demon?
The first thing to do is trust your first instinct, because these bodies are designed in such a way. And one of the ways that bodies are designed from ancient times, from our ancient ancestral blueprint, is one of survival, which also connects to the fight or flight mechanism. So many of us are programmed to be nice, to be sweet, to be kind, to be polite, to be respectful. We need to be okay with whatever we're faced with, trusting that first instinct, always trusting that. Even if you're wrong later on, it doesn't matter, because we're so out of practice now because of the programming, grooming, and schooling that we all go through. We've lost a lot of our ability to trust ourselves. A couple of things that I use often on my paranormal investigations, on my walks, even when I'm working with somebody, which I'm not doing one-to-ones at the moment, but also I do my conference every year, which we'll come to. I use, even though I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious, but I've met Jesus at 7 years old. That's in my book. And I trust that beautiful consciousness, that light, that frequency that's in all of us. And if I'm not sure, in the past, I've always said, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. I say that name 3 times. I also say things like, I rebuke you, I bind you, and I cast you out. The greatest tool that we have, Jeff, for anything that we're not sure of, is to have no fear. No fear. Don't go into child mode and be all in awe of someone. Again, the program to honor celebrity or royalty or billionaires. Look at where our program is taking us. We got to swipe that top layer off. We got to recognize that we are all beautiful. There isn't one person that should be above another. And I really mean that. I don't care who they are, Jeff. No one above another. Anyone that puts themselves in a position like that, I'm like, bye, I've got no time for you. Delete, and on we go. So trust your instinct. Use words. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. I bind you, I rebuke you, I cast you out. I also use tools like in a place. I did a walk the other day at a house. There's a woman that lives there. She's really unwell. She's got attachments. There's attachments in the house because the woman is weakening. These attachments are coming in and they're attaching to her and attaching to the house, or they were. And because she is failing in her health, they're using her human battery because she's scared and she's fearful all the time. That's what pumps them up. With anybody, even a human, if a human has power over another human, how are they getting that power? In one regard, and that is fear, whether it's emotional, verbal, physical, harming, because we can't say the normal grown-up word we'd say because of censoring, unfortunately. When you fear someone or something, it has domain over you. So your job as a human, whether you're a child or an adult, is to choose in the moment to not have fear. Trust your instinct and use tools of repellation.
Do you think that all the ETs out there are good? Because
No,
some experiencers will say they are and some don't. So you're saying they're not. So
absolutely not.
how would you determine if an ET is good or bad?
Well, the thing is with, let's say, greys. Now, I do believe, and others are very in two minds about it, and that's fine. We were being enslaved by a grave hive mind. It has been in the governments of the world forever. It is old news. Grey aliens, I'm going to use a naughty word, they smell like ass, like it. They really do. You can smell them a mile off. And do you know what? They can't cover that smell up. Even lavender oil doesn't work. They no longer are in a position to be physically abducting or taking over. They have been removed. Now, a lot of people are like, no, they haven't. I am very concerned. Anyone who's got a grey program, and there are people that speak on YouTube who have a grey agenda. They're connected to greys because once the greys were taken out, they knew they were going to get taken out. That's what looking glass technology, timeline technology told us. They saw their end. They saw the hive in Betelgeuse, the hive mind, the computer being dismantled. So they've put in other programs and they work through other people. So anyone, and you can tell, I can tell, a lot of people can tell, there's just something off, just something off. Anything to do with grey, I run. I rebuke it, I run. Anything to do with the Saccard Draco reptilians, and again, their frequency, you can feel it. They are so brilliant, unfortunately, of terrorizing and crushing the mind, or they were, of human beings. Tony Rodriguez, in his book, he tells a story about when he was taken in a secret space program. And Tony Rodriguez is speaking at my conference, the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, again this year.
Yeah, we've had
Tony
him as a,
Rodriguez,
I was going to say, we've had him as a guest. He is a great guy.
he's just the best. He's just the best. And his work on remote viewing is so far advanced now, more than anybody else I've ever seen, read, or heard on our planet. Tony Rodriguez. He was on a project in series because again, we're going to go somewhere very briefly because I know some of the audience are still that watch your beautiful channel. They're still trying to catch up. They're still trying to get their heads around the fact that NASA and the governments have not told the truth. Some of them thought it was for our best interest. There have been space programs we've been going off planet for since at least the 30s, and there is proof and there is fact, and there are many military people. It's sad that some have to perish on their deathbed to, finally say, by the way, I did go to the moon. There is a military base there. We do have military bases on Mars. And again, anyone that feels that repulsion in them, remember, you've got a program in you designed to make you look away. And if you're a religious person, you're designed to only look to the God you've been told is the only one with all the answers, which stops you learning about the world that you live on. Tony Rodriguez was in a position where a military man, a human man, was verbally harmed by a reptilian, a Draco reptilian. And when that man came out of the office, the man's brain was mush. The man's brain was complete mush. Those Saccard Draco, that empire that was toppled on our planet, have gone. But their ability, their telepathy, their knowledge of knowing exactly what you're thinking and what you're going to do, they were the hardest to outthink. But they are no longer abducting or a part of this human matrix assimilation. that we're in currently. And I truly do believe that. And there are so many people that have brought proof and evidence to that effect.
Now, you say Jesus 3 times to vanquish demons, but do you think certain ETs are also afraid of Jesus?
Afraid of Jesus. You know, if you don't look at the man that we're told is the man, it's energy to energy. Greatest energy will always win. So let's say that you're in an evangelical Pentecostal church like I was, and it was so peppered with such fear and loathing and fire and brimstone. So the greatest energy that existed in that congregation and the building and the fabric of the building, because buildings hold energy, hold frequency, it was fear. There was little or no love getting in there. Greatest energy wins. When you are dealing with Christ consciousness or love, I prefer to call it love, that element, that power is so impenetrable because that is our natural state. That is our natural frequency. So fear, again, used by, darker demonic ET, for example, they use fear to try to shut down the person's ability to connect to their soul energy, their Christ consciousness, their love frequency, which will always be bigger. It will always, every story we've ever seen, every song we've ever listened to, when we hear that good wins and love wins, it's true. It's so true. The less we choose to stop being fearful and stop going into story. We always go into story. This happened, this happened, that. Yes, and I'm sorry it did. I really am. Things happened to me. Things happened to Jeff. Don't know anybody who hasn't had some kind of a horrible, awful, dreadful, terrible experience. But if we keep unpacking our bags and staying there, we're not moving. That's the greatest energy. That owns you. You're not going to break free. You're going to be miserable and attracting miserable people. Misery loves company, as they say. So people that get triggered by the way I speak, I mean, I rattle their demons, I rattle their cages, but also I also keep an eye on my space because at one time in my life, I had so many dark entities attached to me that I was at the point of almost full possession. And a mentor of mine, Dr. Chris Lamont, he took me and he looked at me and he told me that. And I was so scared. And he said, knock it off now. Don't you dare be scared. When we're children and terrible things are happening, which I talk about in my book, the haunted house we lived in, the demonics and the entities that were in that house and other awful things. You as a child are screaming out and praying. You're asking for help, but what you don't know is the kind of help that you're bringing in. Now, let's just for a minute talk about the principalities of the demons. Let's say we've got north, east, south, and west on this planet. In those quadrants, and the satanics call it quadrants, there are just miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of demonic entities that want to own humans, and their goal is your soul. That's why you cannot allow fear. But as we go up the rank of principalities, northeast, south, and west quadrants on this planet, we have to understand that the more evil and dark they are, because every single demonic entity, lower entity, earthbound, all the way up to the senior demonics, the generals, every single one of them wants the top job. And they will do anything and everything to get that top job. So when we know that, we need to know that, because if we don't know the information, how can we defend ourselves? So those people that mess about with a Ouija, let's say, or those people that have called in and created a soul contract, an agreement, I'll do anything. We need to stop saying that. I'll do anything. If you let me do this, I promise I'll do this. Be careful who you're calling in around you, the unseen, the unknown, because some people are unknowingly connecting and contracting with entities that are going to be with them and be in their space. Again, don't go into fear, don't go into drama. This is where humans really need a bit of a smack bottom, because we do tend to go into, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? If you did it, you did it. I did it. And then when I realized, okay, now I got to undo that. I got to sit in my heart. I got to sit in my soul. I do love Jesus, but I love love more. I love humanity. I love the good. I love the passion that we have. that we ramp our own batteries up on passion, excitement, and love. And we treat people how we want to be treated. And sometimes we have to be a little bit firm, and that's okay too. It's okay to rattle somebody a little bit. If they get activated to think, if they get activated to take some action, to sit down and maybe pray, or bring their angels in, or drench themselves in love and powerful light, or go in the shower and imagine the shower water is nothing but light, and you are removing anything that could potentially be attached to you. When people start to do something different in their normal energy frequency, their DNA, their signature frequency, then they shift. Frequency shifts. And a lot of people can get their head around that, can't they? That's quite an easy one to visualize.
Besides all that, what is the biggest mistake that a person can make while on their spiritual journey?
Is using their power for power, is using their natural born abilities, their natural abilities. We've all come in, we are all metaphysical. We're told that we're in this vessel and we're babies and we grow up and we go to school and then we get married, we have kids, we do mortgage. That is a system that was designed to repress humanity. I'll say that again. That is a system designed to repress humanity. We are magical, majestic, powerful beings. And when people realize, some people, that they have power, they have metaphysics, they're using their ability, they're using their knowingness, they can look at someone and know who they are. They can know something's going to happen, and it does. Because we've all got that. We just forget to tap into it. Religion does its best to shut that down. Where religion lies, and I mean every single religion, has a set of rules that often say, no, that's the devil. Really, dude? Can we just be quiet on that one? I'm so over it, honestly. It's a lie and it's a program, and it stops people from growing to be the love they are, to be the light they are. And we all have that responsibility to self, to trust and to recognize when we're being given an instruction that isn't going to serve us. So we are metaphysical. We're so amazing for telekinesis and knowingness, clairvoyance, seeing, clairaudience, hearing, clairsentience, feeling, claircognizance, knowing. The four clairs, as they're called, we're told, ooh, that's bad, that is. It's ancient information. People also, the distractors that say, New Age, my bottom. There's no such thing as New Age. This is ancient information that we're born into. People say, oh, those pagans and those druids, they are parroting and repeating information they've heard online, heard in church, read in a book, or heard someone they admire say, and it's another lie. What do you think existed before Christianity? Christianity came hundreds of years after they murdered Jesus, right? We had other indigenous people on our planet. Let's go to Great Britain. Not so great these days, but let's go to Britain, England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, part of Ireland. And we had people that were in tune with the heartbeat of our planet, pulsed with her pulse. Their heartbeat connected to her beautiful heartbeat. They they prayed, they worshipped, they witnessed things happening. They knew for fertility they would do certain things. They understood the food of the land that the earth gave us, the herbs to use. That's all been turned around. Now, if you know about herbs, you be a witch. You're going to be born at burnt at the stake. This is the awful patriarchal nonsense that came in to divide and conquer, maim and kill. And the pagans were a group of people, and the druids were a group of people in ancient times. Most churches, if you look at the Norman churches and the Saxon churches across Great Britain, I guarantee you 1,000% of those, maybe the odd one or two not, are born and bred and built over ley lines, the neural pathway of the planet, the electrical connection lines, where the natural indigenous people, doesn't matter what label you give them, druids, pagans, or other, that's where they would have their beautiful ceremonies, their worship, their praying for good harvests, for good health in the village, for water, for food. And what happened? A marketing job occurred, and the Roman Empire, or the Vatican, because it hasn't gone anywhere, it's still the Roman Empire, came along, remarketed everything. And I know that can be insulting. And if you choose to get insulted, I do apologize. I don't mean to be insulting, but we've got to have these grown-up conversations. We really do. So we can think for ourselves and we can take things apart, from the schooling, the grooming, and the programming. And And so now people say, well, pagans and druids are evil. That's so silly, because they are some of the most badly behaved and evil people in the world that you'll find in a Christian church on a Sunday. They're in a cover life. Their normal life isn't anything to do with Christianity. So every single religion, the banner of, can be used in really, nefarious ways, beautiful ways, of course. We've got to stop being fooled by people and their labels. And when you hear pagan or druid, don't just go to, oh, that's evil, that is. How do you know? You're saying it because you heard it, but some people do use those rites, those ancient rites, for nefarious uses, but so do Christians and Catholics and Jesuits. Don't get me started on the Jesuits. But yeah, so, we've got to be sensible, let go of the labels and be all right with having conversations and being loving. And if someone triggers you, let them trigger you. Figure out where you're activated. What is that program that's asking you to look at it and love it away? Like, love it clean, remove it from your frequency, because it's not serving you.
Dani, besides seeing ETs and entities and whatever else you've seen, have you seen UFOs, and or do you participate in CE5?
No, the CE5 thing, I think that's a Greer thing, right? I think Stephen Greer. Now I think he's done some good work. I know there's a CIA attachment there from long ago, so we've got to be careful what we say, because but there is fact to that. The one thing that really, really drives me nuts about him, he made a statement, a blanket statement that is just not true. And it's okay to say this because it stopped people thinking. He claimed that there is no such thing as a bad ET. That is like saying there's no such thing as a bad human. Well, we know that's not true. There have been the worst imaginable greys and reptilians and other, species of ET on our planet. There have been. There have been. And so they do exist. And the CE5 thing, I think, was a protocol that he came up with. But it's very, very, very easy. At our conference this year, we're doing Skywatch at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, Westminster, Colorado. Best speakers in the world on all the subjects we're discussing and so much more, things we can't talk about online. And we're doing Skywatch. I picked a beautiful hotel, the West Inn Hotel in Westminster. The skyscape there is hundreds of miles. Every year at one of our conferences, we call in the ET craft, the good ones. Now, there's so many different kinds of crafts. When people take a picture of a UFO and it's completely clear and there's no blurring around it, 9.9 out of 10, that is not a UFO ET craft. That's a military reverse engineered craft. The real UFO craft, off-planet craft, the real ones, the reason they can come in so quick, the reason that they are there 1 second and gone the next, the reason why when you take a photograph, it's going to be a little bit blurry is the plasma field, is the ionic field around them. There is an ionic magnetic, electric frequency status that happens when a real craft from off planet comes into our atmosphere. Now, I spent years working in the space industry. I was one to recruit the biggest, the best scientists in the space industry across our planet. So not only do I know what I'm talking about there, having had the best space agency in Europe at one point, but also from my own seeing of craft and ships. And again, when you see a real UFO, and there's so many different types, so many different types. Some are plasma bodies. One I saw, I'm putting it in my new book, I was at the beach in Encinitas, California. And I was getting in my car. I'd had a 4-hour meeting and a hangout with a couple of girlfriends. And we were talking about all these kinds of things that you and I are discussing. And I'm getting in my car and I'm right by the ocean and I look up and there is this, all I can describe it as, it looked like a gigantic white caterpillar that you could see straight through. And it was pulsing like, these beautiful oceanic um, phenomena, these animals, these sea life, these creatures, crustaceans, octopi that we've never seen before. They're discovering all the time, of course, because that frontier hasn't been completely explored either, the oceans. And it looked like a jellyfish that you could see straight through. We've seen some of those as examples. This was in the sky and it was at twilight. and it looked like two ladders running through it with white plasma going across it, and it was pulsing like this, and it was enormous. And I was like, oh my God. And I was in my car, and I started driving without taking my eyes off it, and I skirted as close as I could to the ocean in Encinitas. Anyone that knows that area, I was on Moonlight Beach. It was above Moonlight Beach. And so I got as close as I could, parked my car and got out, went to this overhang looking for where I knew it should have been, and it wasn't there. And as I stood there, every hair on my body was on end. So I knew by absolute definition and physical notification that there had been an electromagnetic anomaly right there. I looked round, there's a woman standing there, a white woman with a white dog. And I jumped out my skin because she made me jump. And she laughed at me. She said, did you see that? I said, yes. Did you see it then? She said, yes, I saw it. I said, where is it? I said, why aren't there other cars up here? Hundreds of people surely saw that. The next second, a flock, there were hundreds and hundreds of white birds, like, like that. We just were like, oh my God. And it stopped. And then there was this eerie silence. And I looked at the woman and I said to her, that was it. And there are so many times when we see something like that and we are told the after signature morphed into hundreds and hundreds of white birds. So me and this woman, she'd run up with her dog from the beach and I'd driven up, and so sometimes that's what we see and we think it's our imagination. It was not my imagination, and it then represented, or and it's this planet is so amazing. The phenomena on the planet is so beautiful and so powerful, beyond a lot of what we can imagine. But it is real and it is true. And every single soul on this planet has the right to explore and know about these things. And there are people that are watching this right now go, oh my God, that happened to me. That happened to me. You know, you invite them on your channel. I invite them on my channel. I'm inviting them into my second book. I'm writing a second book, Angels, Demons, Aliens, and Ghosts. So let us share our stories. The more we put out our truth, not exaggeration, into the field, the more people open up and feel safe to share their own, right?
And Dani, do you think that prior to this life, you were an ET?
No one's ever asked me that. Mind you, I don't do very many interviews either. I will say, I believe that most humans, especially people like me, like gobbing off out there into the ethers, like standing against every group and authority on my planet. I believe that people like me have come in with that warrior spirit because we've all experienced other lifetimes and dimensions as different beings, different aspects of physicality. So yes, I'll answer it that way.
Well, it makes sense to me because an ET was with you as you were a baby. The ship is, you saw the ship, and I just feel like it's possible that maybe even like this ship was your star family checking in on you. That's why no one else saw it, but maybe you and this other woman.
I think in regards to that phenomenon, there are sometimes things that only you see, and it's not that common. But with that, I'm not special. I'm no more special than anybody else. Remember, no one above another. I have had a lot more experiences than, let's say, most people, but then I have them and had them, so I can share them. You share them into the field so other people hear more. They don't feel so crazy. The black sheep, the misfit, the freak, the dark one. We're so unkind to people that we think are different and odd because they've had an experience, they've had the courage to talk about it, and they've been shut down. But now the people that attack people like me, now they're the Nellies. They are the minority now. Nobody cares what they have to say anymore because humanity is rising. Consciousness is rising in all of us. The dark ones, the reptilians and the greys that were running things and in cahoots with other authoritative entities, let's say governing bodies on our planet, because they've gone, the light flooding the planet now. We have eyes to see, hearts to feel, and the knowingness is sparked in everybody. And everyone's on this amazing spiritual journey, galactic journey to truth within themselves. That's what they're up to right now.
Well, since you have your own channel and you interview people, Who, in your opinion, are the most important truth speakers of our time?
The most important truth speakers of our time, number one, Alex Collier, an Andromedan informant. That man was out front 30 years ago saying this is when the Greys and the reptilians were doing the most unthinkable, unspeakable things, which I won't mention on your channel, the most unthinkable things, and he was screaming into the wind. He was even threatened by the mafia to shut his mouth. And he did for 6 years. And he's still talking and still sharing about the Andromedans, are beautiful, beautiful Andromedans. I mean, in no particular order. Elena Danan, unbelievable voice. Do you know even Aerospace Corporation and NASA follow her? She was online at one point, and still is to this very day. She mentioned a quake on Mars. We call it an earthquake on Earth. It's called a Mars quake on Mars. She reported on that 2 weeks before NASA. Hello, I'm NASA. There was a Mars quake. NASA to me is so embarrassing. It's like, sit down and you be quiet. They have kept information from us. They had no right. They should never have done that. But then when you learn about who put that whole agency together, it makes sense. However, we won't go there. So Alex Collier, Elena Danan, Jean-Charles Moyen, who you're going to have on your channel. He is a French man. He's got this footage of him as a little boy, as a young man, opening a drawer without touching it, telekinesis. He talks about he's being chased by the men in black in a Paris apartment building where they shot a laser weapon at him. It went through his leather jacket. His dad took a photograph where the laser beam hit the rubber banister in the apartment building where he was being chased. It is still there. The laser mark is still there. Now, Jean-Charles Moyen brought us information on the French secret space program. Now, there are 39 countries on our planet, Jeff, and this is old news now, that signed accords, 39 accords, where countries have come together to say, yeah, we have a space fleet, let's all join together. China's not invited at the moment because they can't behave themselves, but there are 39 countries. In France, their spacecraft is called the Solaris. The Solaris. And the American space fleet is called Solar Warden. That's not redacted information. It's out there. Anybody can look this up, but it's not big news. It's like you have to find it, or someone like me comes on a channel like yours and says, by the way, but it's true military information, and it's real and it's true and it's not negative in any way, right? Solar Warden is so massive. It's a massive fleet, American military fleet. The Solaris, the French spacecraft, flies up into the Earth's atmosphere. So when you look at the atmosphere here, you know, we have lower orbit, we have middle orbit, and we have geostationary orbit. This is where all the satellites launch, all of the telecommunications and broadcasting systems are launched. So Solar Warden is just above the lower orbit here, you know, protecting the planet, like as a guardianship. The Solaris can leave its French, you know, airspace and literally come up with agreement and dock onto the Solar Warden. So we're talking beyond the ISS, the International Space Station. We're talking beyond all of these bodies that we've been told about, the Russian cosmonauts, the rest of the astronauts and the other countries of the world. It is absolutely amazing. And the militaries are fully aware of this. And now, as a humanity, we're learning about this. And so with that, you know, agencies like NASA have to come clean and say, yeah, we held this information back from you. You know, they can't use the term because of national security. Balls to that. It's not acceptable. You don't get to do that. We are very, very intelligent beings. They had no right. I didn't consent and I don't, didn't give them permission and I don't. How dare they? But now it's all coming out and there's nothing they can do. And it's about time that we, the people of our planet, have the information so we know what's going on. This is our planet. It doesn't belong to a little group of people that decide, no, you're all fired. Bye-bye there.
Well, if people want to find out more information about your new book, do they go to your website or Amazon?
They can go to Galactic Spiritual Informers. Everything is there. Everything is there about our conference, which we'll come to, about this book, which is actually on Amazon, Angels, Demons, and Aliens. about the merchandise we have, which obviously helps to support the channel and the movement that we're bringing. The Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection is a movement. It's a gathering of starseeds, people with experiences all coming together. But yes, they can get my book there definitely on galacticspiritualinformers.com.
All right. When is the conference happening?
It is September 27, 28, and 29 of this year, 2024, in a town called Westminster in Colorado, in a beautiful hotel, big 3-day event. We have the most incredible speakers. We have 6 world firsts. Can you imagine?
What do you mean by
6,
that? World first?
meaning that we have 6 world firsts. We have brand new technology being announced. We have the most advanced technology of remote viewing being shared and seen for the first time. We have information on some of the leaders, and I'm talking historical leaders that aren't who they said they were, being revealed. Dr. Lee Merritt's doing that for the very first time. And what else do we have? We have the birth of the secret space programs and proof of when they started and who started them, physical evidence also coming out. There is a man called David Adair. Oh my goodness, wait till you hear about him. David Adair, when he was 17 years old, he built a rocket. His rocket was so advanced, it was more advanced than anything the Nazis or NASA had, and they wanted his rocket. And when he realized they were going to take his rocket, 17-year-old young man, and they were going to use it for arms, to deliver arms and bomb other countries, he blew it up. He blew it up. David Adair, Adair. Dr. Michael Sala, who's also a speaker at our conference, the historian, the librarian, the researcher that the military trusts, the White House, the Earth Alliance, the White House, the Earth Alliance, and Space Force. They trust him, they love him. He's coming back for a 3rd year. His information is going to be mind-blowing too. He did a 4-part interview with David Adair on his channel on YouTube. I invite everyone, go and watch it. It is beyond mind-blowing. The experiments and the actual inventions that David Adair made that are used today on this earth. David Adair is going to be a speaker at our conference. He's the only one of the only ones on Zoom. And he is going to reveal technology that he's holding on to reveal at our conference. And it is for the well-being of these human vessels. David Adair, Adair, unbelievable. They're all unbelievable. We have Jerry Wills coming. He's a full-blown, full-blood ET. A beautiful, beautiful man. I did a 2-hour invitation on my channel with him, and he just speaks about remembering leaving space, being in a craft. And when you watch that man, you can't deny the radiance of him, what he radiates. He's speaking this year. We have Melanie Charret. She's a French woman who does child rescue. Wait till you hear her information. She was also in secret space programs, but these were child harming programs. This is the best way I can describe it. Worse things. Things we can't talk about. Tony Wood-Riggs and Charles Moyen. Alex Collier will be there for the 3 days hanging out with the audience. We have a vendor hall full of the latest technology, again, for the wellness and the well-being, from being unwell to being well, available that we can get for people to sample and try and have for themselves at our conference. And then the Sky Watch at night, when we're going to be calling in the craft. I mean, it's just going to be absolutely beyond anything. And it has been for the last 2 years. And this is our 3rd year. It's becoming the greatest disclosure event on the planet. Absolutely, hands down, bar none. Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, or GISIC 2024.
If people can't make it to Colorado, can they somehow participate online?
Well, what we're doing is at the end of the, because obviously a lot of the presentations, you'll never see them online because they won't ever make it out. You know, the bots will pick up the information and they'll stop them. So you go to Vimeo and we you know, you can pick each presenter that you like, and then there'll obviously be a fee like $35 or something. I don't know what the team are going to do this year, but then they can, you know, purchase that way. because obviously it's an absolute fortune to put on an event like this. Of course it is. The speakers, of course, they're getting paid. They give thousands of hours a year, each one of them for free online. This is their life. They're putting everything on the line to share truth with humanity. And we might live stream. But again, that's not going to be like $99. That's just not sensible. We can't do it like that. We do the best we can every day, all of us. So there might be an ability to live stream because, yes, some people just can't, but they won't see every single speaker either. They simply will not see every single speaker live, whether they choose to watch the live stream or not. We have people coming from all over the world. We have beautiful groups too, safe groups. People come from Australia. We bring them all together. I've got a Facebook group, GISIC, Galactic Spiritual Informers on Facebook. There are Telegram groups for GISIC, GSIC, Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, where people buddy up and they share hotel rooms because not everyone's got the budget. So they make it work on their budget. They can share 4 to a room or whatever. There's many different ways. And obviously everyone is checked out, everyone is screened, so we make sure everybody's safe. So there's those ways of doing that too.
What is the name of your YouTube channel so people can check it out?
It's Dani Henderson, Dani, Dani Henderson, then it's like hyphen GSIC, Dani Henderson GISIC, Dani for Dani, Dani Henderson.
Well, I know you got a lot on your plate, but is there anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
I honestly, I think the biggest thing I want people to know, and we get emotional, is how much I love humanity. I'm so passionate. I'm so passionate. I'm so sad for the brokenness of our planet, but I'm so hopeful for the justice that is coming into play. And when people understand how amazing, truly amazing they are, and they know they've had past lives, they know they have a galactic connection, all of that information, we're moving into becoming a space-faring planet. Like other planets are interacting with each other, and that's been held from us. There was a group of people that thought they could actually keep us down. They're still trying, but they failed because they really, truly are failures. Our world is becoming the most powerful, the most beautiful. As our consciousness rises, the fearful ones, they don't get to plug in. When you don't hold, kidnap a humanity by trampling them in fear, when you've lost that hold, which they have, that is the rising up and the freedom. And I want people to know that about themselves. I love humanity. I speak out for my brothers and my sisters everywhere. And I believe in us. And I believe you out there. If you've had an experience, you've never shared it, or you've always wondered, is it true? I believe you. And I send you love from my heart to yours. And this great gathering for the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, I invite you all. Don't wait to get your ticket. Get your ticket online today. That will take you to your discounted hotel room. Okay, and then you're in. And you can buy a minimum of 3 people can get together. And if at least 3 people, it can be up to 20. If 3 people come together and buy 3 tickets at the same time on one purchase, they get 15% off. There are loads of different ways that you could get there. And right now, the tickets are still discounted. I mean, this conference is like having the Beatles, Elvis Presley, the Rolling Stones, like seriously, on the levels of greatness of these people who are sharing the biggest secrets on your planet, technology, everything that you could possibly imagine, true life, proven, validated. I don't mess around. I don't play unless it's true. I don't care who you are. You're never going to bribe me. You are never going to pay me. If you're a fibber, I got your number, and you and I are not going to play. So the people there are validated, they are proven, they are verified, and they have so many people that love them. Elena Danan, Alex Collier, Dr. Michael Sala, Jean-Charles Moyen, Melanie Charret, Dr. Christiane Northrup, Dr. Lee Merritt, Jerry Wills, David Adair, Tony Rodrigues, me, I'm hosting. And God, if I've left anybody out, I'm so sorry. But I hope do you think that's enough information that is clear and concise and that really does show, my love and my true heart, for us as a humanity? I really hope so.
Yeah, I think it does. What about if people want to ask you questions? Should they do that through your website or leave comments on your videos?
They can leave comments on my videos in the comments section because I get so many emails like others do. You know, like me and Nikki. Oh, Nikki Allen. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed her name out. Nikki.
Yes, Nikki's a familiar face here.
She's good though. She's so good because she gets the biggest call out here. Nikki Allen, my beautiful close friend, that we're doing work together in England. We're doing a paranormal TV show together in England. Nikki Allen is speaking on stage again. Last year, she took us to the heavenly realms, to the angelic realms. And this year, she's going to be standing on that stage again, gifting and just radiating her unique ability to love. And it's so good because it's the galactic spiritual informers connection, because it's all about the galactic heritage that we all own and possess and are invited to know what really happens and how we can all advance our planet, all of us together, not leaving it to the group that took authority over us. No, they're all fired. Bye-bye. All of humanity, with our galactic heritage and our soul ownership and our birthrights. And then the spiritual journey that we're all on, whether it's through a religion, whether it's just a spiritual, metaphysical, Nikki is great for representing that, the spiritual awakening and awareness in all of us. Yeah, she's the best. She's the bomb.com, Nikki Allen.
Well, Dani, before we wrap it up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
I want you to know that you are love, that you are beautiful, and that you are worthy, and you truly are. And I know so many of you, families are falling apart, everyone's arguing, you're on a journey, you're on a struggle, everyone's going through somehow on some level the same thing. You will help yourself if you take a second to step back and take a breath. Do you need to respond? Do you need to make that mean comment? Do you need to push someone away? Do you need to take on board what someone said that really hurt you to the core? It is a choice, my love. In the second that you choose to react to stimuli or you want to say something, take a breath. Just take a breath and turn your own self-love and your own self-value into your own self-worth. And remember that you are a beautiful little boy or little girl at one point, and everything that you were told that hurt and harmed you shut you down. Well, now your job is to turn inside and hold that little boy or that little girl that lives inside of you, and you nurture them into the adult they are now. You tell them what they did right. You tell them who they are and how good they did and how special they are. And if you choose not to, it might be because you chose to plug into a victim program, a martyr program, or just a bloody, boring, miserable program. We all have the ability to connect to that soul love, that heart frequency that we all came in with. And we are the ones that we were waiting for. So self-love starts here. And that's what I want to leave everybody with. And come to the event, galacticspiritualinformers.com, galacticspiritualinformers.com, September 27 to 29, 2024. I'll see you there.
Dani, thank you for your message and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Jeff. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. I love you too.
Oh, God bless.
God bless you. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.